The bell had just rung when the little girl stood at the edge of the playground with her backpack slipping off one shoulder, a dark black and purple bruise blooming under her left eye like a cruel signature of pain, and the moment she looked up and whispered to a group of leather-clad bikers passing by the school fence, the world seemed to pause because no one expected a child that small to say words that heavy, words that sounded less like a request and more like a prayer, "Be my dad," and... Before the story pulls you any deeper, if you believe in kindness, second chances, and ordinary people doing extraordinary things, take a second to like this video, share it with someone who needs hope today, subscribe to the channel for more real, emotional stories, and tell us in the comments where you're watching from, because stories like this connect hearts across the world in ways nothing else can. Her name was Emily Carter. She was 8 years old, and she had learned far too early how to walk quietly, how to keep her eyes down, and how to flinch before a hand was raised, even when that hand belonged to a teacher trying to help her. Emily lived in a small apartment with a mother who worked double shifts and a man who wasn't her father but acted like he owned everything, including her silence. And every morning she covered her bruises as best as she could and hoped no one would notice. But kids always notice, and cruelty finds its way into whispers and laughter, until one afternoon she saw them outside the school fence, a group of bikers with heavy boots, patched vests, and faces that looked carved from hardship, and instead of fear, something strange rose in her chest, because they looked strong, because they looked like no one would ever dare hurt a child standing behind them. The man she spoke to was named Marcus Iron Hale, a tall, broad-shouldered biker with silver threading through his beard and eyes that had seen wars both overseas and at home, and when Emily lifted her face and he saw the bruise, he felt something crack inside him, something he'd buried under years of noise, engines, and rules about never getting involved. Marcus didn't ask questions in front of the school, didn't make promises he wasn't sure he could keep, but he knelt so he was eye level with her, and in that moment, a silent decision was made that would ripple far beyond that fence. Word spread quietly through the Hells Angels chapter that night, not with anger at first, but with concern, and concern turned into resolve, because many of them were men who had grown up unwanted, unseen, or abused, and they recognized that look in Emily's eyes. The look of a kid asking for protection in a world that had failed her. The days that followed were heavy, filled with teachers noticing Emily's silence, counselors making reports, and a system that moved slowly while fear moved fast. But something else was happening too, something that no one expected, because Marcus kept his distance while doing exactly what he promised himself. He watched, he learned, and he waited, and when the school called a meeting about safety after Emily showed up with another bruise, that was the day the engines came. 50 motorcycles rolled into the school parking lot in perfect formation, chrome flashing under the sun, leather vests carrying stories of brotherhood, loss, and loyalty, and every single rider shut off his engine and stood silently, not as a threat, but as a wall, a message without words that said this child is seen now, this child is not alone. Parents stared, teachers froze, and kids pressed their faces to the windows. But Emily stood a little taller that day, because Marcus was there, and so were 49 others who didn't share her blood but understood her pain. The investigation moved faster after that, because eyes were watching, because people asked harder questions, and because fear finally changed sides, and while the adults argued policies and procedures, Emily began to change too, her shoulders slowly lifting, her drawings at school filling with colors instead of dark scribbles, her laughter returning in small, careful pieces. Marcus didn't become her father in the way fairy tales promise, but he became something real, something better, a steady presence at school events, a voice in meetings, a protector who showed up every time he said he would, and the other bikers followed his lead, tutoring kids, fixing broken playground equipment, standing outside the school at closing time not to scare, but to guard. When the truth finally came out and the man hurting Emily was removed from her life, there were no cheers, no celebrations, just a quiet exhale of relief, and on the last day of school before summer, Emily ran across the parking lot and hugged Marcus without hesitation, her face clear, her eyes bright, and in that moment he realized that being a dad wasn't about blood. It was about showing up when a child asked the world for help and the world answered back. Before this story ends, take a moment to comment below and tell us what this story made you feel, because your words might be the encouragement someone else needs today, and as you reflect on Emily walking into her classroom without fear, remember that sometimes the most unlikely people become heroes, and if this story touched your heart, if it made you believe even a little more in humanity, please like, comment, and share this video so more people can feel what you felt, because one small voice asking for help changed everything, and somewhere right now, another child is hoping someone will listen.